I used to jerk off to Tequila.
Anytime anyone has been like, oh, I saw your doppelganger, I ran to see a picture. Let me see what she looks like, because then I'll see how racist you are.
I feel like cats are more like toxic boyfriend and girlfriends.
And then the love bomb biscuits come.
What do we call that?
A Bangaversary.
Okay. Rat-a-tat.
Rat-a-tat.
I'm not. I do really like when I first started doing it, I didn't have any plants, and then when I added plants, I was like, ooh, what?
That's why I said it wasn't Zach Galifianakis. It was the ferns that really made that podcast.
Yeah, they're almost as dry as he is.
Yeah.
That is a good show. Okay, let's do a shot.
Yeah, some crazy guests in the beginning. Like Obama was on there, and at first I don't like. Do you remember when Tequila and
what's her name?
Friends?
Yeah, Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
And it's like Jennifer Aniston's way more famous, but he was only paying attention to Tequila.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that? I think I did tell you this, but no, yeah. I used to jerk off to Tequila when she was still Tila Nugent.
You went?
It was like because she started she did like softcore porn, so she did. I don't think I ever saw her eat pussy or get fucked, but I saw like some girl on girl like making out. And,
that was like the first just
fondling.
like influencer, just like hot girl, just like being famous for just like being hot. Like I experienced like it because I was like back in the day. I feel like she was like, I don't know, just she was trying to be a DJ like in the beginning before like.
Was she trying to be a DJ before she was like
she
a
had
famous?
Music. I was like, yeah.
Interesting. Do you want some lime juice?
Yes.
All right, doll.
Baby.
Cinda and I wrote a song. It goes like this. Ooh, what if it starts like that?
Just go like, baby. We need to write a song.
I think we should make it a song. Cinda's been doing this thing where she just, instead of saying baby, she sings baby. Hi, Momo.
Yeah, because they're just like, babe, babe, babe. That's annoying. But if I'm like, baby,
yeah, but
that's
you never
cute.
sing it when you're annoyed with me.
I don't call you babe when I'm annoyed either. But if you're just like, hey, I'm trying to look,
Like,
you know,
babe, get out.
baby is like, babe, that sounds annoying.
Dude, they're obsessed with this little window right now.
I know.
Is this the first time you've felt the open air in like 2 months?
Maybe.
Man, I feel like at some point we're going to get Russell and Momo to cuddle in bed. Like, they're both going to cuddle.
They've both been
They'll get close sometimes.
Yeah. Momo hung out with me the other night when I was watching TV. Sat down, yeah. Just like kind of leans against you with his little kitty paw.
Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna...
It's like when cats first like start like sitting on your lap or laying with you or cuddling, you're just like felt like, oh, I finally got the stamp of approval versus like a dog that's just like super overeager. It's like that was I think the first time that Momo just like had a little sit sat with me.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like cats are more like toxic boyfriend and girlfriends where they're like breadcrumbs. They're like, no, you have to earn my affection. And then it like makes you love them
and
more,
then
but
the
in
love
a
bomb
really
biscuits
shitty
come.
way. Yeah. Because I have always said like for a dog, that is like the purest form of unconditional love. You know, like they like unless you're like a real, you know, if you were really mean to a dog, they will be scared of you. But for the most part, it's like you could yell at your dog once or twice, and the second later, he's just so loving, and he doesn't care about anything else. He doesn't care how you look. He doesn't care how like his day was. As soon as he sees you, he's just like, I love you, and he's all and he loves a pure stranger,
Yeah.
for the most part, most dogs do, but cats are like, no, 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 like I need you to do like 10 more push-ups before I cuddle you.
Yeah, I just feel like you can curry favor with a dog a lot easier, like if you have snacks or just like giving like a lot of attention. But cats don't really care about snacks or attention as much as they care about whatever the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Not that they don't like snacks and attention, but
They do. I mean, Russell does like snacks and attention.
yeah, but I still feel like his mission is his mission. Is priority one all the time. Cats are just about their business.
Have you ever heard that the only I don't know if this is true, Chris just told me this, but he was like, the only reason your cat doesn't eat you is because it's smaller. Like, if it was bigger, it would probably like attack you.
Did you know that if cats were just like feral and living like really healthy lives and had a good like, I don't know, feeding ground and everything, they wouldn't even have to drink water because all the liquid that they would need would be the blood in like their prey.
I did know that actually.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because that's why like
Little apex predators.
Apex. What is Apex from?
Either like the apex, like the top of the triangle.
I think, just because I think it is gonna rub on this side, so bear with me. I'm just gonna hopefully do it there. I think that's gonna work. And if it doesn't, I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. So you don't worry about it. I'll worry about it until I get too drunk. Then I won't worry about it.
Perfect.
When I was filming the other day, I had never really done this, but because I'll just look at the audio, like there's like the little green arrow, like there's the bar, so that when you say something, you're like, hey, and it goes, boop, 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 like, and it, like you can see how far loud it goes. If it gets up to the yellow, it's getting too loud, whatever, so it goes like that. So that's how I monitor where the audio is, so I don't want it to go to the red. And I test the mics, make sure that it's working. I can make sure when they say hi, it goes, whatever. But what I never noticed is that won't pick up any crackling on a cord, and because I'm not listening, I'm only watching. And so when I was filming Carrie, I brought my headphones, so I was like, I want to really make sure we're nailing everything, and so I brought my headphones, I put them on, and like sometimes when I moved the camera the wrong way, the cord would be like, and then like everything was getting cut out, and I was like, oh, thank God I brought these, because like I probably would have filmed a solid 4 or 5 clips and had it just being going,
Yeah. How do you not know that's happening any other time then?
I'm not sure. It's just like something that I had never paid attention to. That I just think I got lucky on some of the other shoots I did, right, that I never had it. But I think that cord is maybe going out. Okay. So I probably should throw that one away. What I did was put it back into my stuff. Stupid. I do that dumb shit all the time.
Well, you put it away, so there you go.
But it is in where the microphone cables go. Well done. Yeah, it's probably actually getting used right now, going.
Like, are we using it right now?
I don't remember. Although now I'm paranoid. I'm going to listen to the headphones. Say something? Cinda and I stayed at this hotel downtown, which, if you live in Boise, the 500, which has been there for ages. I just haven't been. It is so nice. And it's like, I mean, it's not like boutique or anything. It's just like real clean, I guess, clean designs. But
it's like that contemporary MCM.
Yeah, and then it's like in the heart of downtown, which is nice because I've stayed downtown a couple of times. But
big ass jacuzzi tub, though.
Yeah, and then this like balcony that you just like walk out and look out at the city, which is really cool. Because the last one we stayed at was the. It's like the Residence Inn or something. It's like those ones that are made for like with the kitchenette and stuff, like for staying longer. Which they're nice, but it's more just like big and
we're not making snacks.
It's more efficient. Like those are like efficient hotels, and then this is like
works like extended stay.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell because like there's like little amenities. I don't know why I did the bunny ears, but like slippers and like how fluffy is the robe? Is there a robe? How fluffy is that robe? Has so many stores the hotel gets.
Yeah, I don't know why I use bunny ears either. That was a very
Is
real
there a
statement.
continental breakfast? Do you order eggs like, as you're like,
We did get
a steamer?
we got the package that I got was for our 2 year what do we call that?
A Bangaversary.
Bangaversary. I was gonna say fuckiversary, but Bangaversary actually sounds better, I think.
Yeah, it's phonetically simple.
But then I got the bed and breakfast package, and so it's like they're like, oh, you get a $20 credit for we got the $20 credit for the breakfast. Well, we're all doing drugs and already kind of fucked up, and I was like, wait, we gotta fill out our breakfast because we had to get it in by like 10 p.m. or something, and then like we get a knock on the door at like 9:30 when the thing comes. And that's the one feature about the hotel that was like they were bragging about. They're like, you don't even have to answer the door when the bed and breakfast comes. They just put it in this little cubby.
That's like one of the selling
really
points.
Nice.
Because then it's just like, oh, the anonymity of it.
Yeah.
Or that is it. Yeah, I think that should be like, I don't know, that should be regular.
That should be a Motel 6, honestly.
Well, they don't have room service, but anywhere that has room service, that seems like that makes sense.
What about like where you get delivered crack? Like, don't you think they should have like a little box for like crack deliveries?
That would be great because the safety is keeping your name out of some people's houses.
Dude, the fucking Motel 6 that we stayed at Albuquerque really should have taken advantage of a little like crack door.
When you were like, I'm staying in the ghetto, and I'm like describe it because I don't know if your ghetto is the same as like.
That is fair.
And then you were like, there's a naked lady smoking foils next to a trash can. And I was like, oh shit.
No,
Where are you?
Our ghettos are the same. Well, that's the most. That was not my ghetto, but it's Albuquerque's ghetto. But yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, Boise doesn't have a ghetto.
Yeah, no, there's no ghettos in Boise.
Adam Street.
No. Yeah, I wonder if Adam Street is like gonna get gentrified and just be like the coolest.
It is like this weird pathway though, like that it is a cross section of Garden City over from State to Chinden. So I do think that street is eventually going to get taken over. I think that the trailer park there will get bought out, and then everybody there will have to move.
Jazz, did you get running?
So yes, I do.
What I like when I shoot with you, when you help me shoot, not when I take pictures of you, but when you help me, is I get so caught up in the technicals, like the which are important, but like the focus, make sure the eye is in focus, make sure that framing is right, and then I will miss the dumbest shit. Like there'll be like a fucking dirty Band-Aid hanging off like somebody's arm or something. I'll totally miss it.
Or something.
Yeah, and it's so annoying. So it's really helpful to have like when you're working with me and you're just like, ooh, and you'll pick something and then I'm like, oh fuck, I wouldn't have even seen that, and that would have taken me 30 minutes to edit out or something.
Yeah. No, I've always had a really good time whenever I've been invited along for shoots.
The Reagan one, shout out to Jimmy and Reagan.
Yeah,
that was really
that was
dope.
So much fun.
And like when I was just bragging about I'm just like, dude, she's an idea queen. And then we actually started getting into it, and you could just tell like, that is a good idea.
Sometimes, that's all the time.
What are some bad ideas?
If you asked me what are some good ideas, I would have had the same reaction, to be honest. So, I don't work well under pressure.
Yeah. That is, shooting in the snow is interesting though, because there is I noticed today I was editing some video in the snow, and there's this thing where you're like, okay, I have to make sure that their face is light enough, but because everything's so bright out, because of the white,
back the light, right?
Well, this was outside, so I wasn't using any we were just using the natural light, and we had really nice light because it was cloud cover, which is the best. Like you don't have like glaring sun, but still, you're like making sure that the face is bright enough so it doesn't like it's not too dark and it doesn't get grainy. But then like some of
Turning
the
towards the right
snow
direction.
behind is just so white. Like everything's so white that it's just like so I thought I was better at it, and now I'm like, I think I need more work. It's like it's tricky. It's very it's a tricky bitch.
It's been snowing as fuck lately, but it is really cute in the valley right now.
Yeah, I was thinking about this maybe a couple days ago, but it does as snowy as it is. It's already I mean, I know that the middle of January is pretty much the middle of winter, but I don't know if it's because of like the dates that I have coming up, but it kind of feels like I'm like, dude, we're almost out of winter. And because and maybe it's just me, and not to lord this over anyone who has to stay in Boise, but like in less than 4 weeks, or about 4 weeks, I go down to Scottsdale. So then I'm like, well, there's not winter there. And then by the time I get back, it's going to be fucking
That's
April. And I'm
funny
like,
because like that means it like that's how like you know that you've always been in like a 4 season environment because you're like oh it's winter's over because it's the cold like versus I don't know because they're winter they like what Arizona still experiences a winter it's just not like
no snow.
with the snow it's just more
It's like
tepid.
50.
Yeah, but you do escape like a bunch of the bullshit. Hopefully this is just a rough January and then everything else is just soggy.
Right. Well, also
yeah.
we had a pretty mild December.
Rough
you know?
winters mean green springs, and so.
Our last spring was really fucking wet. And
Do you remember the like spring after Snowmageddon? It was like green up until like the middle of July. Like all the hills were still green because just the root systems had like such a long time to.
And I feel like this year has been that way.
The aquifers were super refilled because of all the snowpack.
Yeah. I feel like this year was this way not because of snow, but because of how much rain we got through the spring.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much rain there was? We didn't have a fire season this
Also,
year.
that like
there was no smoke.
So when there's a lot of rain in the spring, and this is just what I've heard from firefighters, is that it like will make all the like pretty much all the brush like a type of like plants grow like pretty quickly, and then since we haven't had a lot of snowpack to be able to like break that down and like make it decay. That's just going to end up being kindling if there's going to be like stalks of it still like existing and there's not like snowpack to like crush it down and everything. Yeah. Then it just ends up being like a fuel to just like kind of spread it.
Yeah.
I mean, for someone who fights fires, that's like. But
can you imagine?
For everybody else on earth, that's not their job. Like that.
Can you like? How do you go about? Reckoning with your own thoughts when you work in an industry that is like the only way you get paid is if there is disaster?
Well, if the disaster is inevitable, then it'd be better.
Right, but like, for example, Danielle and TJ. Shout out to Danielle and TJ. I should probably stop doing that. That sounds terrible. But like, they own the towing company, and like obviously there is always going to be car accidents, but like what if they went through a season where like people started driving safe and they're like kind of need some people to start fucking up, like ooh, I feel bad about that thought, but we do need to pay our bills. We hope everyone's okay, but we do need some fender benders. You know, like that would trip me out a little bit. Like, cause she gets really she was talking about how busy she got over Christmas. She's like, we're so busy with the holidays, and are you just like so stoked for that money? But say a prayer for those guys. Like, how does that work in your mind?
I mean, a lot of like tow companies, I feel like, are for like just ones where they have to get to a lot before, or there's like an arrest situation, and not a lot of like fatalities, but there has to be a percentage of human error going on all the time where just like I get to be the savior, like I get to help this person out, get their car away from this accident.
Yeah.
And so maybe they can pat themselves on the back for that enough that when they're like, I'm making money off of people's like, you know, bad time. It's not worth the pat on the back, but
knowing what I know now, if I were to be a firefighter, like Ken, for example, I would do my best to hire somebody with a real slow-mo camera and just make sure he was always like in the truck waiting for me to carry somebody out. And I'm like, obviously I don't want to really take advantage of the situation because, you know, could be dying and we're trying to save them. But if they're already going to be dying, I might as well get a good shot. You know, I might as well get that fucking...
Do you remember that episode of Always Sunny when they were trying to do that with Dee? They're just like saving the kittens and just like they like lit her on fire like 3 different times in a warehouse.
No.
I don't know.
What season was that?
Was it newer? I was sick a couple weeks ago and I just ran through a lot of TV I'd already seen.
It might be the newer ones because I haven't seen the last season or two. Huh. Or I might forget, but I think that I know most of the Sunny episodes. I would say I know like 90%.
I feel like you keep on seeing the same episodes over and over again because there's 17. Well, there's not 17 seasons. Is there? There's 17?
It's probably getting close. There's probably at least 14.
I know that I've seen probably a couple dozen, 3 dozen episodes, but I don't know if I've just been seeing those ones or see like new ones. Like, because I've like since sporadically or I jump in where everybody's like, you know, in the middle of the like, their binge.
Well, there's the so the newest season that I was watching had the episode where Mac is obsessed with eating nuts and his face it gets all like blown up and. I hadn't seen any of that season, and that I think came out last year. So I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm behind. Like I haven't caught up." But I think there's actually another season I haven't seen, because I went through a huge period where I watched like a ton of Sunny, but then I stopped the last couple of years. So I think I am missing out on a couple.
They came back, and I thought that Dennis and Dee had like a lot of work done, and then this last one they looked more like it themselves again. I'm like, maybe it's just too fresh.
Yeah.
Like, you should have taken the 6 to 8, like, weeks downtime, seriously. Well, I don't know.
When we were watching the last one, I was just like, does it seem like Matt got work done? You're like, they all got work done. I was like, oh, yeah, it kind of does feel like that, even though it's like, it's not necessarily glaring, but they still look the same as they did 20 years ago. I'm like, what's going on here?
There was one episode, though, where I feel like they didn't, or one season where they didn't, like, look like themselves. It's like when Portia de la Rossi got it.
Yeah. I really liked when Matt got fat.
Yeah.
And he was just like
building mass.
But his whole character then, he would just like, they would just put him kind of in the background and he would just be standing there. Like, and he's just like, his belly's like really out and he's like really tight shirts. He's just like.
It's like trying to get buff.
And then the next episode or the next season, he was like completely shredded because he had like just bulk, and then he shredded down or whatever.
I had heard that the director tried to get all of them to do it, and then I found out that they're all like, maybe they're not all directors, but they're producers, right?
No, I think they're all like both because they started they started the whole show. Like I don't know I don't know if all 4 of them started it, but at least 3 of them, 2 to 3 of them, it was like their brainchild. So they I don't know exactly who did the filming per se, but I know that it was like a homegrown show, kind of like Trailer Park Boys, where they just did it by themselves. They got picked up and then maybe they have different directors now, and I think they brought in what's his name?
Danny
DeVito. I think they brought him in and then halfway through the season or something, because he was like an addition once it like got caught by like Hollywood or whatever, I think.
Oh, I heard it. It's not. It sounds like McMuffin. I'm gonna look it up. Or McLaren. There's a MacGuffin. A MacGuffin. Do you know what? I heard this term the other day. So a MacGuffin is a point of like a plot where the only detail is a detail given just to keep the plot going. So like in Knives Out, like, oh, I heard that you like puke every time that you lie, and so like that. Otherwise, the detective would never been able to figure it out.
So then, wait.
We did explain them all. So it's just
I'm missing it.
So it's like an extraneous like detail of the plot. Like it doesn't have anything to do with anything, but without it, it's like like it wouldn't make any sense. Like the pivot of like the plot line or the story.
Okay.
And so
that's called a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's what was happening then.
I do need to watch Masterclass, the app that I paid for that I never watch. They have who's the guy who narrates Arrested Development, and he's
Michael Bateman.
No, he's a big director actually. He he's that short little redhead. He's the narrator of Arrested Development, but he actually is a big time movie director, and I can't.
Is he the OP from back in the day?
Yes. Anyway, we'll think about this later. I can't spend. I'll spend way too much time, and then when I'm editing this podcast, I'll know exactly what I'm like. Fuck, dude, it's that. But I'll just sit here and think about it all day. But anyway, he has a masterclass on directing, and I was like, oh, I should watch this, and because actually, speaking of Sunny, like Sunny is my inspiration for wanting to make I want to make a TV show at some point. Probably not like, I know I told you this, but I didn't tell you this. But I want to make it. I would say this is like a 2 to 5 year project, and as much as I was just talking about how you should start the thing you wanted to do right away, I'm not prepared for this, and I also don't have time for this. I need to learn how to make money first. But I don't need 20 other passion projects. Yeah. But when I have enough money coming in and I'm like comfortable with like how things are going and my podcast, because my podcast is my main passion project right now. So once that's like moving forward and consistent, I got it dialed in. I really, really want to make some sort of comedy. Very, very. I want to make it kitschy. Like a what do you call that?
Like kind of campy. Like
no, the fuck out of here, dude. Momo tries to rip up every goddamn one of the couches. I swear to fucking Christ.
What was he getting?
The yellow one. He just goes for all the velvets. He does. Russell doesn't go for the velvet couches, but Momo, like he goes for the purple ones. You can get those little sticky sheets. No, I need to just fucking slit his throat. That's what I need to do.
Whoa.
Sorry, Jazz. Just kidding. I love Momo. He's cute.
Sticky sheets. And you're like, oh wow, this happened to my paws.
He's a little fat puck. Wait, let's see if it come in when I crinkle a wrapper.
I haven't seen Russell play with the wrapper. I want a dog so badly. I feel like everyone around me has been getting puppies. It just feeds my puppy fever. I take it as much disdain as I am for seeing too much in synchronicities. I'm just like, oh, you would want a puppy, and then you go to somebody's house that has got a puppy. That's probably the universe telling you that you should make the bad decision of getting a dog right now. I'll just take any. I'm like, oh yeah, that is it. The universe telling me that I should do it. No,
what did I tell you? What was that thing I texted you the other day when you said something about the universe telling you something? Well, do you remember?
It was fucking vaping, because I lost my vape, and then I didn't smoke it for like an entire half day, which is a lot because I'm very nicotine needy, and so this is. But I found one in the backseat of my car for someone that I work with, and I was like, nice. The universe isn't it's telling me that today's not the day to quit. And then I told Josh that, and he told me, he was like, oh, but when you lose the vape and you make me looking for it with you forever, then that's not the universe telling you that you should quit. It's like, well, fuck.
I gave you a real small one. So sometimes I don't let. It's a dab bullshit. Just kidding. Cheers. No, I do think that's funny. There was this time, I mean, we still actually do it. I kind of learned this from Lindsay, but I just noticed that Cinda got drunk faster than I did. And I actually would smoke for me too. No, I'll give you it first, but I got this little portable pipe. I forget. It was like
in Amsterdam. I am Amsterdam.
No. But that would be doper.
You didn't?
Doper.
You didn't get this in Amsterdam?
No.
I thought this entire time.
Man, where did I? Maybe I did. I can't remember, but I've had it for a very long time and never used it till you started using it. It was just like my backup pipe that I just had. But I think it's so cute because it's like a kazoo. You know? Like
it had a little...
You know.
It had a little top to it, but I lost it.
Well, why would you ever use the top? Like, I don't want to cover your weed. No, it actually is really brilliant because you could fill the bowl and then cover it. So then it's like on the go weed.
Yeah. But that's for people that are like whenever I see that as a selling point for like sticker tokes or like things like this, I'm like, you're only gonna smoke one bowl. Like no matter what, you're gonna have to bring another. Like you have to bring another.
Yeah, I have one of those. You know those one hitter. I mean, of course you do. I have one that looks like a cigarette and put a little weed in there, and then just like. But those were popular like before the what do you call it? The pens. Because you couldn't you couldn't like bring a fucking pipe out on the street, but you could go and like put a little one
like
hitter,
crystal the little bats that you would just like grind in, and they'd have like the little wooden cases.
Yeah, you push it in there, grab the weed, and then you can be out with the smokers and then smoke a little weed without.
Or just like in bars that would like have cigarettes, so you just be like, all right, if everybody's smoking a cigarette around here, I could probably like take a couple puffs. Nobody would know.
Those pens did change the game because I remember when I worked at P.F. Chang's. Oh, fuck, dude. I never smoke anymore. It's so stupid. When I worked at P.F. Chang's, I worked with this guy, Ryan, and he was such a stoner. And this was before Penn, so he was just like, he's like, I have to get super stoned before work. And then like halfway through work, when it starts wearing off, I just get so like, you know, like those people. I mean, I know that you smoke all the time, but there are people that are like a lot more weed dependent. I don't mean that as a bad thing. I think that like that is like their Adderall to ADD. You know, like it's so good for like that's what makes them function normal. Which I think it's dope. Like dope. I think it's really like it's really good that. I think as far as like a lifestyle, like any substance that you're gonna do like lifestyle wise, I think there is like a medicinal use for weed. I think that being a chronic being, you know. That's what I mean. I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I just know people that are.
I just know that I like it.
Yeah. Well, like there are times when I know that you're ridiculously stoned and like, you're like, what? You know, like but yet you chronically smoke where you're not ridiculously stoned and your baseline is where I would be like when I'm like really high. You know, I would be like, what? And that's like your baseline, and that's not like how you function easily. But I don't think you're a person that can't function without weed.
Do you think there's a difference between like people who smoke weed and stoners? Where like when you think back to the day, like because you're like that guy was a stoner.
Yeah, I do.
Sometimes I think that like sometimes I think I'm like doesn't my roommate just see that I'm a stoner? Like
for example, like I think like maybe they would classify themselves this way, but Ryan and my old roommate Maria, they both were like people that smoke weed all the time. To to keep them sane. If they don't do it, they're really manic or they're really like agitated. They're very and so they smoke weed to keep them mellow and like a even keel. But I wouldn't consider them a stoner. They're and maybe I think of stoners as like the people who embrace the culture. You know, like the paraphernalia.
Yeah, just like give into the vibe. They're like,
have that's probably why.
Don't listen to the dead, but I have some type of teddy bear or dancing teddy bear somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not teddy bear, it's a bear.
Yeah. That place that I went with Jeremy, it's his friend's house, and he just bought it 2 years ago. It's right off Palouse Street. Vista and Palouse.
Okay, so like that's really close to me and the studio.
Right. So he sent me the address. I go over there, and I wasn't sure where I was going. I knew I was picking up from somewhere, and so apparently this guy just bought it 2 years ago. But it has this huge basement that just has this huge bar. He has, I mean, this guy is a very intricate taste. He has like all of this. He has a golfer video game, you know, the with the wheel.
Like
Yeah. He has this
like an
huge
upside down mouse.
kind of casino table that has roulette and craps in it. He has this huge cabinet that has probably 20 bongs and all his different weed paraphernalia. He has all this decor everywhere. He has this glass case with this Versace robe that he has like put up. He has this little it's kind of like a photo booth, but it has like a little driving game in it. That with a video screen that you can play. I mean, there's a ton of like an arcade feel with a lot of just tons of games and paraphernalia, and then a whole ass bar. The lighting is almost similar to Jeremy's studio. Lots of red and black lights, and you know, just very, you know, like
when it's like
that
a
vibe.
hodgepodge kind of just like there's something to look at, like
Yeah,
lots of things to
there's
look at
always
everywhere,
something to look
but
at,
it's not
yeah.
like too cluttered. And,
Oh, it's pretty cluttered, but it's like in a good way.
but well cluttered.
Yeah, well cluttered.
Like
Yes.
there's like a diversity
Yeah,
where,
well cluttered.
where it's like, ooh, this is a lot versus, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
look at all
and
this.
so
Like,
that guy Michael, that the director that I was telling you about, he came down because Jeremy wanted to see this place, and so we're gonna film there because we're gonna make it like really trippy. The video, so we're gonna film there, Jeremy's studio, and probably Spacebar. So all three, just like lots of neons, lots of dark, moody vibes, and his ceiling had these like I don't know how they do it, but it's like little drips. So in a square foot, there's probably 100 drips. I mean, like they're so close together, and they come around like this far down.
are they pennant lights? So they're like on.
They're
like,
not lights. It's just like the texture of the ceiling.
So is it like kind of like if you were to like put like does it look like paint, like really thick paint going like that? When
Yeah.
Like oozing.
But there's a ton of it. But I'm like, how did they get it to stop? So it becomes a point. You know, I've seen the ones with the really short
Like
ones.
that shit would probably get dusty as fuck.
No, because it's all in the ceiling.
Do you remember popcorn ceilings? I had a popcorn
It's
ceiling.
someone like that.
So I used to have
Someone like that, but it's way deeper.
they were probably
spikes.
something with like I don't know.
It's like stalagmites, you know,
Yeah.
like where the water drips and freezes. It looks like a ton of stalagmites, but it's like some sort of textured paint. And then Michael comes down and he puts a flash on it, and he's like, "Dude, look at the shadows." He's like, "It looks like the surface of the moon." He's like, "We gotta use this," and I was like, "Yes, we do."
Yeah. When I saw the little clip that you sent, it was just like, "This is my favorite part," or a new favorite part, and I was like, "Where are you?"
Yeah. There's a full blown bar in his basement. And then the regular house is, I mean, it's a pretty big house, and he has like the regular floor, and then upstairs he has like a hot tub, or like a not a hot tub, but a bathtub, like a jacuzzi tub, you know, like the jets and shit, like on the hotel. So he has one of those. He has a fucking baby grand upstairs. I was like, what? I'm like, dude, who are you? I'm like, you're dope. He's some doctor, but yeah, he's cool as fuck. And so
The bench has these like crazy big, just like super palatial estates where there's like a bunch of outbuildings and everything, and then there's like I don't know,
That's a really cool house.
the bench is like it's weird how it's developed. I think.
Dude, I am. I say dude a lot. I noticed this the last podcast I listened to.
I switch off from dude and bro. I say yeah.
I've been trying to work on.
When I say brother quite a bit, I guess like
You said brother. Quite a
yeah,
bit?
like in the hippie way.
Is this when you were in California?
No, I was. If I was in Ontario working at this Halloween party. I was just like,
Cindy used to be in a gang in California, and I still wonder if she's still in it.
blood in, blood out. Just kidding.
But seriously, I'm just glad I'm on your good side.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on my podcast. Round 2, motherfucker. Well,
That doesn't mean anything if you were on my bad side, but I'm glad you're on my good one.
no, if I was on your bad, I don't want to be on the bad with the Bloods.
Or the crap side.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if they're a different
Just
entity,
kidding.
or I don't really know that much about. I'm from rural Pennsylvania. Like, I didn't even know what a gang was until I was probably 27.
I wasn't, yeah, I grew up in Weezer, Idaho, which is pretty similar. I feel like I went back to your hometown and you made it seem like you were kind of like in Idaho, I feel like there's like the valley is like where we're at in Boise and like Meridian, Eagle, like that's a pretty, like, that's our metropolitan area.
Yeah.
But everywhere else is pretty isolated.
Yeah.
And yours isn't as isolated as, like, you're a small town, I feel like, had a lot of neighboring bigger towns.
That is true. But it still has that, like, it has that really, like, run-down, tiny town feel that the East Coast has in a lot of towns. Like that,
Yeah, it's
I'm not saying there's no run-down towns here, but it's like the, you know, the houses are falling apart sometimes. You know, you drive through, like, little neighborhoods, you're like, oof. It's not a ghetto, it's just poor.
Yeah,
you know, like,
just yeah, rundown, because it's. I remember driving around in the country when I was a kid and just seeing, like, there's some places that have, like, really well, like, landscaped yards and just, like, curbside appeal in the middle of the sticks. I'm like, what? Like, you're worried about curbside appeal and, like, no one is driving by and seeing this. And I'm like, and as a kid, I was just like, dude, what the, even as a kid, I was like, what the fuck are you paying for? You know, like, what is it? Nobody's gonna see this. So I get not needing, you know.
Yeah, but the other, to counter that point, most people that really like that shit is not for anyone else. It's literally for them.
Yeah,
like,
that's
why
I
you
thought yeah.
Like, when people are like, why would I try to impress people? And then there are legitimate people that are just like, no, I want to come home to this.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, even if you think about the Governor's Hill, though, like that, then they didn't want to take care of that yard, and so they sold it to the Simplot. Simplot didn't want to, like, take care of that yard either. So it's
that's a lot.
It's like the same idea of that, though. It's like, what are you know, how much are you doing for other people versus what is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah,
like, I just want.
Well, it all
front yard. I mean, and it's not just about taste, but I'm like, you probably scale that back a little bit, and it wouldn't make any difference for personal, like, I don't know.
I wonder about. I mean, I would wonder this. Say you're rich, because, like, say a nice house with a giant backyard with a huge garden, right? Is that for the once a week that they entertain guests? Or is that just for them? And, like, I wonder if, like, as somebody who is still like a recluse, maybe it's just in the movies I see this, but, like, recluses still have these, like, really nice, like, like, some people just really like gardening and, like, the landscaping and the whole art of manipulating plants and aesthetics. So I can see a person spending a lot of time that doesn't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. However, I could also see your average rich person being like, no, I'm definitely trying to impress my house guests when I, like, entertains, like, once a week.
I guess if I was going to improve the view, I'm just, like, have a big front yard, but why would you do, like, I don't know, an acre drive-through, like, yard, like, big ranches and things like that. That's what I'm saying. It's just, there's, like, I don't know.
I think it was just to fit more slaves. You know, like, the larger
slow blink.
the larger the yard, the more people that you can have that you own working for you, enjoying your view while you lord it over them. That's why plantations were so fucking big front
Plantations, landscaping, plants, landscaping. I get it. That's why shrubs became to be. So
what is the term? What is like mansplaining what is mansplaining for plantation owner? You know, like, men like to mansplain over women. What would that terminology be when you're plantationing over your populace? Plansplaining? You're just like the asshole plantation owner who's just plansplaining over the rest of the town. You're like, oh my god, fucking
is
Richard, shut up. There's probably a word back then for them, though.
It was crackers back then.
Oh, yeah. I always thought that was more came from the Brits.
Cracking the whip.
Oh, I thought it was crackers with tea. And the Brits are
So it was going to be like, is a white plantation owner that's trying to mansplain thing, I think that would be a cracker who is cracking the whip. So I think there is a term.
No, yeah. I didn't put that together until right now. That is.
It's weird when you just, like, find out the etymology of some, like, slurs. You're just like, what the fuck? Like, that's...
You told me a few that I was like, whoa.
I like know the Asian ones because people have decided to tell me because they think that it's important. That I know.
I thought you just naturally knew them because you're Asian.
People decided to like, oh, this is something I know about Asians. They did that to me.
Don't you love when you meet somebody new and they're just like, dude, my
That's actually the only connection to my heritage that I know is white people telling me about Asians.
I love that you didn't. What was your nickname that you didn't know was offensive?
Oh, kimchi.
Dude, I love people. You tell it.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that I grew up in a small town in Idaho, and so I didn't know. There wasn't a lot of like ethnic food options, and so I didn't know what kimchi was, which is fermented cabbage. And so just like, oh, that's a cute name. Like, I don't know why they call me that, but whatever. And then found out that it was rotten cabbage.
So then people, thanks. Hey, she helps us out. I was telling Ken earlier, that got me high. Luckily, I'm still talkative because I get nervous when I smoke food and I don't talk, and I'm just like, hey.
Well, yeah, I feel like that's.
But you're good at talking on weed. When you do weed.
Otherwise, yeah, I'm not good at shutting up.
On weed or off weed?
All the time.
Oh. Dude, we just gotta get you in the K-hole. Then you just shut it down. What was I saying? Oh, I was telling Ken about living in the garage, the base room.
The base room.
The basement. And I was just like, I think because I've been dating an Asian that I'm starting to really learn how to utilize space efficiently. I'm like utilizing every square inch. He was just like, I forget if he thought that was funny or not.
One time, I had a friend, Liana, who does look like me. It's not just like, oh, like one of those. But Ken went up to her and was just like, I forget, he did something silly, but it was just like what you would do to a friend. And I had just had this conversation. I was just like, oh, like, someone just thought that I was you, da da da. Or she told me that. And then like, we walked away. And then Ken was just like, blah, 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 blah. And I walked up to her and was like, oh, hi, Ken. And it was just like this like weird fusion of just like, oh, yeah, all Asians do look alike, apparently.
I used to think that was when you were to see a different race and think they all looked alike, I was like, dude, that's clearly racist. And then what I discovered is that all races feel that about all other races that they aren't aren't familiar with. Like, yeah, if you have 20 black friends and you have been around like black dudes a long time, you definitely like you're very comfortable with the differences in
Eskimos
tone.
have
but,
like so many words for snow. You know what I mean? Because they like see snow all the time, so they have to differentiate between the snow.
Right.
And so you're not like, oh, this not just like, oh this all these white like you know.
And so what?
attributes.
Yeah. Like if you were from South Dakota and you see 20 different Asians from 20 different countries for the first time, they don't know. They're just like, they all look from China. Like that's just like, and then you would originally assume like, oh, they're fucking racist. But in reality, they're not. They have not spent enough time with the different things. And when I first realized this was when I went to Australia, and Americans typically think Australian and the Kiwi accents were the same, New Zealand. And they find it so offensive. They're just like, ew. Like, because, like, Australians hate, like, to be compared with a Kiwi and vice versa.
Okay.
And then it's the same with Australians. They think Canadians and Americans sound the same. Even though we're like, dude, it's, like, to us, it's so different. Like, clearly there's all of these nuances that are different. But to somebody who doesn't hear it a lot, they just hear the same thing. And so then I kind of realized, like, oh, it's the same with hearing as in seeing. Like, oh, if you're not used to seeing something, you don't see all this, like, the subtle differences that are actually not that subtle. You just haven't spent enough time with it. It's like if you, it's like a bear roar versus a lion roar. You're like, I don't really know. Like, it's just scary. You don't really, you don't hear it every day. But in the animal kingdom, I'm sure they know the difference. They're like, yes, that's clearly a cub. It's clearly a cheetah. That's the 8 types of wild animals.
Anytime that anyone has been like, "Oh, I saw your doppelganger," I like demand to see a picture. I still like, I'm like, oh, let me see what she looks like.
How many times have you heard that?
Because then I'll see how racist you are. This guy came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you still have my camping chairs?" And I was like, "I don't know who you are." And then he's like, "You're not Sarah?" And I was like, "Nope." And I was like, I'm like, "Who's Sarah?" And I'm like, what's her last name? Let me look her up on Facebook and I'll know how racist you are.
Oh, man, that's good. Fuck.
She actually did look kind of like me. My ex told me that the same. He's like, "Oh, that's your doppelganger." I'm like, that bitch doesn't look anything like me. It was so weird. I felt so strange about it, to be honest.
Yeah, that is the one thing I love about the Mexicans, and maybe it's just how they are with me. But like I make the joke that they all look the same all the time. I mean, they're like they make that as well. Like, oh yeah, because we all look the same. Because they just.
But when you know it's a joke, it's different than being like, "This girl looks so much like you." I almost said hi,
No.
like Cinda, what are you doing downtown? I'm like, we've been dating for like over a year. What do you know what I look like it?
Do you want to hear something crazy?
I mean, like, never know that I don't look Chinese.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying, that it's different that I'm friends with them, but like they still like know that most whites can't really tell them apart, and they're like pretty comfortable with it. They're just like, yeah, I mean, we all are short and brown. We get it. Like they're pretty chill about the racism, is what I'm saying. Dude, one time, this is pretty early on in my knowing of the whole group, because I knew Sabera first. And then I was like, "Oh, you brought all your brothers." And then I didn't know that they weren't all related until 2 years later.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I thought that was interesting.
Did you guys like that one? No, I was at the... So I probably...
Is that what happened?
No, when I say you guys, I mean you Mexicans, the ones that are watching this. I wanted you guys to know. I was hoping Eric would hear this.
Don't you laugh at it, whites.
Don't you laugh at it, whites, or you were racist. That's funny.
You can't be Middle Eastern and laugh at this joke. You gotta be Asian.
No, you gotta be Mexican.
This is specifically not even all Latinos, just the Mexicans.
Dude, so I had probably known Eric and the whole crew for maybe a year to 2 years. Like, known them for a minute. And I was really fucked up at spearmint one time. And this had to be like maybe 5 years ago. I've probably known Eric about 7. So yeah, like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years. And definitely been boating with them a bunch of times. Done a couple of the house parties, etc. So it's not like I just started hanging out with them. Like, definitely hung out with them for a couple of years. And so I know everybody. I know Eric and Erica. I know Max and Jaime. I know fucking Javi and Javi and Jesse and Jorge. And, you know.
I love them.
I was actually just starting to make up names, and I realized actually that those are all the names of the friend group. But so I was at the strip club, and I was hanging out with Eric, and I thought he was Max. And I was just fucked up. I was like, "Max, dude," and blah, 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 blah. And I was like talking. And and I kept saying, I think it was the time period, I had this time period, was very focused on saying people's names, because I was trying to learn to remember people's names and say it in conversation, to be like,
Yeah.
let them know that I like know who I'm talking to.
And it's just good for your memory, like your own.
And it is good, except for the times when you fuck it up, because then
once
you go really
trying to
wrong.
unlearn it is so hard too.
Well, also when you just like, when you're sure, you're like, this girl's name is Julia, and you keep saying Julia, and they're like, my name's Sarah, and you're like, oops. But like, it would have been better if you just said, hey you, like, in those situations. So the times when you get it right, it works really well, because people are like, man, this guy knows my name. He really is invested. Like, he remembers me, and he takes the time to say my name. Like, that's nice. People like their name. But then when you get it wrong, they're like, what the fuck? And I just kept calling him Max, and Eric's just like, Josh. He's like, dude, I'm Eric. And I was like, I knew that. He's like, no, you don't. You kept calling me Max. I was like, no, I was just getting. I was just getting you switched up. But he's like, I know we all look the same.
And no, I feel like it happens when you remember or you meet like so many people at the same amount of time, or the like X amount of people, you know. So it's
you can kind of like the whole group is that. I also think it happens when you're Mexican. They all
I
look
remembered
the same.
it. Yeah, I have my friend Brian. I remember his name as Brandon for the first like 3 years. I would get it wrong like every third time.
Which Brian?
And then eventually, Rita's husband.
Yeah.
I don't know Brian.
You still do.
I like one time
You
I was
love
like, "What's up,
so
Brandon?"
much.
And he was like, "Who's Brandon?" And I feel like at that point he knew that I was like, "I know who you are. I just forget your name because I'm really good at names. Like everybody's like, I'm terrible at them." But you just like you don't take the time to try to remember it. And I'm like, you know.
No, I think it's really important.
I just think it's like if I find the time, like if I want to be able to know you in the future, then I should know who you are now. So then that's easier. Like,
sometimes that's why I don't remember
so then
names.
I'm like, so I'm like, oh, let me take the time to remember who you are. You know.
With Brian. Brandon. With Brandon. Irina's husband. I confused him with the dude that is friends with 10 Town Girl, Lisa, that we met at the strip club.
Alicia and Brandon.
Yeah, so I confused Brian with Brandon as well, but in physical form, because I thought when I saw Brian at the sushi night on the Christmas, I thought he was Brandon, who we played pool with that time that you guys were both really drunk, and you were like falling asleep at the table. And I was just like, dude, last time I saw you, you were falling asleep at the pool table. I was like, and he was just like, yeah, McCall was crazy. And I was like, wait, what? And then I realized that I was talking to a different person, but we did get fucked up.
He's like, there was a pool there.
But he's like, but I was pretty fucked up, so.
Right. He's like, maybe there was pool.
Would you like to have this little shot?
Yeah, that was his 40th.
Oh, I thought you were being that excited about a shot. I was like, would you like to do the shot? Like,
yeah!
It was his 40th, though.
Yeah, shut up, Brian!
Hey, Brian. This is to you. I mean, I know we're like 3 months late on cheersing.
Yeah, that was so funny when at the Christmas party, because she's like, oh, I didn't know that you had friends that like DJ my man. And then I was just like, actually, Brian, she's like, oh, your name's Brian. And it's like, oh, yeah, they're all, oh, which, like, that's the one that DJs. And then Cinda just said, all the Brian's here DJ.
And then you're like, wait, actually, everyone here DJs. No. How many people do you think that there's, is this a
like at a time?
No.
Or
16.
Like how many people can DJ?
Is this one of those things where you're gonna fight me on the sexism of there's more guy DJs than girls? Is that true in a general sense? Or is it 50-50?
I don't think so.
Because I'm not familiar.
I'm not in the industry, so this opinion is really speculative, but I do think that in as far as like I bet the highest paid females and males, I bet the gap is closer in this for this career choice than in most.
No, that's not what I'm asking, although that is important information. I'm asking, do you think that like guys to girls that DJ, do you think it is a lot more male dominated industry? Like there's more men that DJ than women, or is it pretty 50-50?
Yeah, because DJing as far as
no, I'm
like
asking, or like what you're
I just said yeah.
No, I said, is it 50-50 or what's the split?
Or
you
said,
yeah.
is there more men? Like I thought you said, is there more men than? I'm like, yes, there is more men. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
But,
so what do you think the split is? Like 80-20, 70-30, 60-40, 90-10? If you were to guess.
40-60.
I don't know. Because I was thinking, yeah, like at that house.
There's a lot of female representation, and I feel like more so now. Maybe 30, probably 30-70 actually. And as far as notoriety, like I would say like 25-75, and I don't know if that's just because like the choice as a musician is like for a career, like that's like more like if we're gonna like that weans from the traditionalist mindset, and so I think that like anything that's like that is inherently more male dominated. But
I also think now, cheers. Maybe not like 50 years ago, but I think now any like minor category should lean in. Like I think it would be beneficial to lean into being the smaller minority into a big industry of no matter what the choice is, because then you're the standout. So instead of being like the one who's normally shunned, I think it would work for you.
If you're the standout and you're not the rejected, and if
Right.
you're
Well,
the
you can't
standout,
suck.
then you're a token, and so then it's like the double side.
But you're still gonna win quicker.
But then it's a double-edged like sword. Like okay, so I win quicker with the people that are being like advantageous towards like the things that are not skill based, you know, or you know, I don't know, I don't know.
Okay, I have to pee. Let's take a little pee break. Dude, Russell loves the air.
Yeah.
Just immediately.
I was like, what's it smell like? I heard somewhere, or just for that 45 minutes or 10 minutes of sniffing for a dog is the equivalent of a 45-minute walk. And so if like so there's like these little snuffle mats where it's like a microfiber towel that's like kind of like the things that wash your car. In one of the automateds, and you just like had a bunch of kibble or whatever in there, and then the dogs sniff it out, and they have to like work at getting it, or there's like little puzzle games. But if you, I don't know, I've been doing all these things because I was like talking about how I have dog fever as fuck right now, so I'm like okay, so I'm gonna be going this song, and I'm like with a puppy house, and I'm like all right, in the winter, then maybe this could. So I mean. So when I get a dog, I'm going to get them little snuffle mats. And, yeah. But that's crazy. And so I'm like, I think that's maybe the same thing. Yeah. Do you know that all the Sesame Street, I know that, like, counterculture always tries to, like, take down, like, like, innocent things. But Sesame Street, like Big Bird lived on E Street, Snuffy was a pothead, Oscar the Grouch was a junkie. There was like Cookie Monster was a cokehead. He was like, oh, cookies! Give me some more cookies!
Do you know what's great? I've never heard that.
You've never heard that?
And that actually makes so much sense.
Big Bird lived on E Street. He's like, hi, I love my
friends. Oh my god. That's nuts. There's a
Oscar the Grouch was just on heroin in the trash can. I'm just like, fuck off. Like
there's a Family Guy, I think, that they reference Cookie Monster, and they talk about him being like so dependent. He's like, "Oh, those cookies," and I forget exactly how they portray him, but it's really funny. There is this other thing that I just heard. Do you want another?
Yeah. When I was driving on the freeway the other day, it was like after I think the first time that it snowed like over 4 inches. there were all these little like drifts that were going across the highway and just like kind of like snaking across. It kind of looked like how and like you'll see like desert sands like in videos like moving around. It was so cool. I loved it. There's like so many pretty aspects of winter. I'm like, I don't like to be in it, but I do like to look at it. You know?
What if you could,
I don't know.
what if there is like a set of glasses that you could wear that, in winter, it would make everything look like summer. And in summer, everything would look like winter. So then you were able to see the best parts of the thing that you weren't experiencing. So like, for example, in the summer, you could still see like the snow-topped trees, whatever, but you're still warm and you're like, what's up? This is nice. I feel good, but there's still like snow everywhere and like winter wonderland.
That's how I feel
but you're
about the first
comfortable.
like 3 or 4 days of like the first like 3 or 4 warm spring days that we have. Rest.
What did you put down there? Oh, I know exactly what you put down there. You're never gonna get it. You're never gonna get it. You're never gonna get it.
But that's how I feel like when we're down here in the valley because we have all those crystal peaks with all the mountain ranges and everything. And so when everything is coming alive in the spring and green, and then you get those 65 days, but after winter they feel like a balmy 80. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's 68 degrees. I'm wearing shorts.
Yeah. Every time you say down the valley, I think of that time that we're like up in the mountains. But it's just like I bet that's how they fucking dress down the valley.
Yeah. Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like, oh, that is probably how the rest of Idaho, like in the north, would explain to anyone else, like, oh yeah, down in the valley.
Yeah.
And it was like a very dismissive tone. They're like, oh yeah, you city folk. It's like, oh, those fucking city folk. But it was like down in the valley with their fucking rainbow flags.
Yeah. Do you know that Boise is it's been used as a really good test market for a lot of like advertising companies in the past because it's so far removed from any other metropolitan area. So like when you're getting like buyer data or whatever, like it's really easy to be able to like seclude it. And then also we're just like this little like cross section. We don't even have an accent. Everyone just talks slightly hickish or however they want. There's no regional dictation in Idaho. It's like this very like, and in Boise, it's like slightly yuppie.
Yeah.
Very like Republican like roots, and I don't know. It's very I don't know.
Yes, you do now.
Multi. I do know. How to describe it, or I have an idea. But that's why
I was thinking about that
or those
with it kind of depends on who you talk to is if you have an accent or not. So for example, like cuz I grew up in the Northeast and Pennsylvania definitely has like my brother and Nikki and for example, who's the bearded dude that the bearded dude and his wife or his girlfriend, they're the best. Fuck. My brother's friend, big red beard.
Oh, Earl and
Earl. Yeah, dude. Earl is the shit. Sorry for forgetting your name, Earl. I'm fucked up. And then also sorry for Earl's girlfriend for getting your name. I'm fucked up.
No, I'll remember it in a second.
Dude, she is the sweetest.
Oh, yeah.
And
She wants
you
to
know what's
read with
crazy
me.
is those were the first rednecks that I know that I was like, dude, because normally when I say, I didn't finish that statement. Normally I'm like, I don't want to be friends with you. Those people are like, I want to be friends with you. They are so cool.
But
And
that's their like hometown, so isn't that like? Are they the people that you
see,
were
here's the
small
thing
town
though.
though?
Yeah, but I have been home all the time. I have like gone back since I've left, and I've met a ton of different fucking rednecks and whatever, and be like, no, you suck, you suck, you suck. Or like, and even if they're like, they're kind of fun, but they're like, like you suck. Those two are the fucking coolest. Like I expected them, like the visual, And this is where like the visual doesn't always equal what it is. What is that? Like the book, the cover is not always what's inside.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this stereotypical, like, I would have thought that they would have hated like the douchiness of my vibe and like
that's what we're seeing. Like they think that like the judge is going to come around and be like, "Oh, you're not gonna like it."
They were just the chillest, coolest, like really, man. I was. Like,
that's the thing about like
so
social
much
in school
fun.
is that they generally make other people feel like, yeah, come let's hear you.
That was a good learning lesson for me actually, because I do kind of shit on small town people, like, and I know I'm from there, but like I'm just like fuck that place, and so I'll like shit on small town people a little bit. But then like when you meet those gems, you're like, no, dude, there's gems everywhere. Like there's different ways of life, and like I think maybe because I listen to too much politics and too much news, but like you just assume, oh, every Trump voter they hate the fucking gays, and they don't, like there's like the check marks, like, oh, they don't want the Mexicans in,
no one is everything,
gays, or like whatever. And in reality, like you can have this like hillbilly, like just big beard guy that likes hunting and fishing, and he's just like, yeah, dude, fucking my cousin Vinny's gay, and like they can be cultured as fuck and still be a hillbilly and like be chill as fuck, and you're like,
which is so great. Yeah, because that's what I'm like, given a certain age bracket or proximity, like location wise to like a bigger like a city, like an actual metropolitan area.
And maybe that's
then
why.
That's like somewhere in like this Venn diagram, or
to your point about
in this chart, that would be like where I'd be like, okay, you're allowed to be this ignorant with forgiveness or grace. Yeah. I'm like, you're 70 years old and you live in the sticks. All right.
Yeah, of course,
like,
we get it.
Okay, I understand. Like you probably have known 250 people like at a 30-mile radius your entire life. Okay, I will allow you a little bit more grace for your ignorance, but then everybody else, like as far as East Coast like cities, they've been like they're so close to
they're close
they're
together.
They're gonna be impacted by, even if they're like their cities aren't growing, then everywhere around is, and so their worldview should be just by like social proximity.
Yeah. And I actually think that's happening more because of two things. I mean, I think the internet has been around for longer than I really realized. So when I was in high school, we just got the internet. Like, so we could still connect to everybody, but we didn't like have the perspective of everybody. So there was still a lot of, and then also I grew up in a cult, so then we didn't. And then I also was in the farm outside of town. Like there was.
You wouldn't even know what to look up if you knew what to be like. Okay, so this can connect you to anything.
I had multiple isolations. Like, so it wasn't just a religious isolation. Like I didn't get separated just based on, oh, we believe this. Like, so in my town, like there was the regular people that go to the public school and they don't believe in God, or they go to a regular church, and then there was us, was like the Christian school. Like, it was just like a very separate thing. So there's that separation, but then there's also like the separation.
So us versus them, kind of out from the beginning.
Yeah. So and then everyone's kind of an outsider, and I think that's how I kind of grew up seeing the world. Is everyone is like outside from me, and then but. Also, fast forward 30 years, like now that I'm almost 40, and so then when I go back, but like the whole town, because of the internet and because of like culture bleeding in from cities, like, because Lewistown isn't like dying per se, like the areas around are growing, so it'll still get like Lewistown at some point is going to be like more of a suburb. I would think.
Maybe like an Eagle type of.
What I wouldn't say Eagle. I would say like. Maybe one letter of Eagle.
Yeah?
Maybe like L.
It's just L?
Yeah, I mean, Eagle is
We'll
like
pronounce that Le.
Yeah.
That sounds fancy.
If you were to think of Harrisburg is the capital.
Only
So Harrisburg. Okay. Yeah.
with the little lay.
Leh.
Make it French. I'll be fine.
Okay. So if Harrisburg is Boise, Lewistown, what I would used to think would be Lewistown is kind of like, not Weezer, that's too small. What's a town around that has like some sort of industry? I probably like, Mountain Home. I would consider Lewistown like a mountain home, except there's no military. That's the problem.
Well, it doesn't have to be the same type of industry, but ready man, like self-sustaining jobs where like the only reason why there is a town is because there's work and once like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a... Well, what I'm saying is, like,
They're like dying houses. Like, that's what, yeah.
I'm not sure why Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania. I know a lot of it has to do with rivers. So I think Harrisburg's on the river. Pittsburgh's on the river. Philadelphia's on the river. Like, so big towns are always, a lot of times, on the rivers, right? Like, in states. And then Lewistown is like, I don't know exactly how we started, but it's like the steel mill.
That's how you grew up in the East, but you know that. Like, I don't feel like...
Yeah, it might be an East thing. Well, yeah, in the West, it's on the coast. Like, most of your big cities are on the coast.
Like, I know that, like, it does make sense to me. Like, yes, of course, boats have to travel. That's how, like, you get the, like, before there was, like, roads, the waterways were the easiest way to transport goods. So that does make sense, like I said, like, but...
Yeah, almost all...
Yeah. I wouldn't have a... Yeah.
Do you know what I discovered for the first time? Speaking of, like, that kind of, like, what do you call that? Logistics on maps? What is this word that, like, talking about topography? Dude, I feel like really stupid now. No, just like the conversation around, instead of intellectual, you know, like intellectual, a cartographic conversation, cartographic convo. Oh no! Does that work? Cartographic convo?
Cartography. No.
Conversation.
Where do you have to?
Ooh, that could be good.
No.
Are we even remotely close?
You have some. No, I think you need to get at least 7 letters out of that, and it would probably be.
I was thinking of the word like philosophy is for thinking ideas. What is the intellectual dialogue for talking about the integrations of the glab and topography and the evolution of like why civilization exists on certain points? What is that word? Is what
anthropology?
Yeah, so but anthropology, but in a maybe it is anthropology, but I was trying to do like a twist with like a new school, like, oh, but anthropology for people who just discovered that cities started at rivers.
Aquapology. Aquapology.
Oh man. Fuck, dude, that's hard.
Aquapology.
I like this. Yeah. One of the things I discovered, I didn't discover this the first like 6 or 7 times I went to Denver, and I think it was maybe the last time I went to Denver. It was a guy who was in my like driving Uber, because I would just talk like most times I went to Denver, I would talk about the growth or the weed boom.
From Denver to Boise, like
comparison-wise? No, I would just like, you know when you're in an Uber in a new city and you're talking about the city? Like you talk about like the things that you know about the city, and then they give you a little bit of information on that you don't really know. Like, so I remember like when I would first start going to Denver and be like, dude, how, like, are you from here or not? Like, there's like, dude, this shit's crazy, because Denver was like the one of the cities that just blew up so fucking fast as soon as the
That's
weed bust.
yeah.
And that was when I started going, which is like, so this is like, so then I'm just like, dude, this is nuts, you know, like and there, yeah. Then the conversation would always go there, or then you would talk about, I don't know, like I was just thinking about like how when I would go to a city, you talk about like the new things of the city, I guess, especially with Uber drivers, you know, or like people you just
like,
meet.
oh yeah, this is
It's always like current, you know,
Yeah.
like what's happening in the last 5 to 10 years. And so only recently I discovered like somebody was just like, yeah, well, I mean, Denver, like that's why we're like this. It's just like Denver is just a town of people. Like we looked at the mountains, we're like, good enough. And I had never heard that like statement, and then I was like, oh yeah, Denver was the hub of people that were going west. All these people on the East Coast, and they had already been through so much fucking toil, heartbreak, all you know, just like bam, 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 you know, and they hit this fucking huge ass wall of
like,
mountains,
fuck that.
and they're just like, this seems really pretty. We could probably farm over there. Yeah. Fuck it. Like we're not like what? Where else are we gonna go? Like are we gonna do that? Nah. And so like it has that like kind of fuck it attitude. And when he told me that, I was like, holy shit. I was like, that is why the town, like, and that's not a river town. Like that was, I was like, oh shit. Like that's why Denver exists, is because of that reason. I was like, that's dope.
There's a lot of people that just they made it past the Midwest when we're just like desolate, but they were like, okay, so we like went to the plains, and we're just like, nope, we didn't brave the tundras to go over the peaks.
When you said rack them up, did I pour them and we drank them, or did I not pour them?
You poured them.
I did?
Yeah.
Are you fucking with me right now? I didn't think I was as drunk as I am, but I'm pretty drunk.
You didn't pour them.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I think this is going to be one of those ones. Okay. So, for all of those who don't know, for all those who last this long on the podcast, which actually this is going to be probably shorter, like we'll keep it at like 3 instead of 7 hours. Just kidding. I was going to try to keep it under 2 on my edit, but I've been doing pretty good lately. What you have to do that is just get people fucked up quicker. Just kidding. For all those who don't know, sometimes I wanted to say something on the podcast, but then I forget because I get too fucked up. So I started this little whiteboard situation, and we write some things on a whiteboard, and then you can't see it on camera. So it's like, it's kind of like an interviewer taking notes, except it's just like this big like scribbly word, because you're
that's
just
like a teleprompter. That's like crappy.
Yeah. And so what I know for sure, I looked at the board, I was like, I definitely want to talk about the Jews.
No,
Damn
but
it, that
actually,
phone got me in the head.
we were going to talk about the word.
No, I know. I thought that was a really good line. Clippable moment, motherfuckers. Dude, what if I feel like podcasting is just like getting yourself prepped for like clippable moments, and you
just start talking clips. You're like,
yeah, you start talking. I do notice I'm like, oh, I just start talking in segments. Like it's no longer a conversation. I just like I already have it like somewhat in my consciousness, and I'm just like,
not clippable as far as like a do it for the gram clippable, but I feel like that is kind of how my brain works. Where I'm like, all right, and close this down. Like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna confirm it. Like, we'll go from like, and just start the conversation then. It's like callbacks.
Cinda,
like a term, right?
I don't want to.
Like callback comedy terms.
I don't want to blow your mind too much, but what if Would you like some water?
Yeah, I didn't even smoke it. I got 60 weeks ago.
I think it's vape.
Well, the vapes that are not helping lungs heal from the sickness.
Nah, that is probably what's really happening. Fuck, I think I lost it. Oh, I was gonna tell you something. Oh, I know what it was. So, what if? I know you were saying that, like, you're like speaking of clippable moments. It's not like my brain is Instagram, but that's kind of how my brain works anyway. And I'm like, what if that is? What if fucking Zuckerberg or whoever created the idea of these little moments of
Don't you think that though?
things is probably it's just like a way of viewing the world anyway, and then he just translate or like he might have bought that.
Don't you think that in your life though is like that already? Like when you're like.
Well, that's like how memories are too.
Yeah,
like right,
exactly.
you look back, it's like a section. When I look back at that's very true, because when I look back at some of even when I'm not
a bunch of reels,
yeah, but even when I'm not drunk, I think, or like on a substance, but like like if you were to look back at a concert 20 years ago, you will remember like one or two moments. So it doesn't have to be 10 or 20 years ago. It could be last week or 20 years ago, but they're both the same. You remember one or two like visual moments, like, because that's locked in, but that's locked in with the feeling that you had in those moments. So for example, I was completely sober and my first concert was Reliant K, and I remember getting there first. I remember being like pushed up against the grate. They used to do those like those black grates, and like, then the security would stand like there. Yeah, I don't. That was like when, like, I guess moshing was just really intense, so they had to, because like
were like the little parking things almost.
Yeah,
but then they were like
because you could go to concerts almost all the time now, and there's none of those. Like, oh yeah, people don't fucking jump on the stage anymore. Like, they're just like, they're just having fun. But it was like a riotous time for music. But yeah, so I remember I just remember the sight of those things. But like I know I spent 2 hours there, but I can't remember like every single moment. I remember feeling like, holy fuck, I'm seeing my favorite band for the first time, and the first concert I've ever seen. Like, it was just like this big, like, what the fuck, this is so cool. And I was just like, ah. And like, I remember being pushed against the grate, and that's all I remember. So you get these it's like that little highlight, like, so I'm just telling my story of how that really does work for a lot of people. You have these like little highlight reels of just clippable.
Yeah.
Like,
You've seen that movie? We've talked about it. The Being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to time travel it. Like when people they propose as like a superpower or anything, I'm like, I only want to live in my own life. I don't want to change anything because I shoulda, coulda, woulda myself to death before. But I'm like, I would just like to be like that being John Malkovich, like movie.
Yeah.
And just like go back to 19-year-old Cinda and just be like, what was I doing this day? It's like some random Saturday.
Yeah. Dude, have I ever talked to you about I don't know if this is the same, but the Enter the Void?
No. I know you told me
So it's like this, the assumption is like the kid dies and you become him, or like everything's shot alive when he's alive from behind his head. You never see his face. So it's like you just like follow his head around, and then he gets killed. So
it's first person perspective.
No, first person would be like when you shoot like
from the visual.
From the visual. So this would be third person perspective.
What is dead person perspective?
So when he's dead, the camera goes above, and it's always looking down on a room.
But from the point of view, like Lovely Bones.
I've never seen that.
But okay, so like I'm like it's a heaven and hell situation.
Oh, okay.
Is that
No,
what
no,
I'm asking?
no, no.
Okay, so no.
So this is based on Tibetan Book of the Dead. So I never knew about any of this. So like, I'm not assuming that you know what this is. I'm like, oh, you should know. It's the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Duh. So basically, the theory is for the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it talks about what happens after you die, or this is all I know based on reading a tiny little bit about like this movie and what it's about. But the human consciousness, it goes there's the greater consciousness, and it goes down to a human consciousness. And so it's about this guy and girl. I think it's his sister, and they're in Hong Kong. And they're taking a lot of drugs and fucking around, and then he gets killed. And you see like a lot of the first part of the movie, you see always behind his head. So every time he's talking to somebody, you see like his head, but you never see his face. And then when you see somebody else talking, you never see his face. So like the person that is the main character, you never see, which is, I think, very very like intentional. Obviously, like, so it's just like you isolate, like, and so you like, because you're just watching the movies, like, this is what will happen. So it was trying to like explain the experience. And then he gets shot, and he is apparently dies. And then like you see like the camera like floats up, and so then a lot of the movie is shot from a camera just like over the top of scenes happening. And so what happens is he becomes like a consciousness. And so he's watching what's happening after he dies, but then he goes back and watches stuff happens before he dies. So then he goes into like memories. So it's like being John Malkovich. So he'll go into these memories in other perspectives.
He's that third person perspective to all these like first like situations,
to
but
his
it's like
own memories.
he's like the witness to being like, oh, I'm gonna go take a look at like all around
his own
here.
life though, like he'll so he's like, so then he starts seeing all these scenes.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do myself.
Yeah. So this is but this is based on the premise of what like
I think that
the Tibetans think happens. So this is actually based on an actual like a spiritual belief of what happens when you die. Like, this is a movie based on that, which I think is really cool. And then at the end, so what David told me was just like, so you get the choice as a consciousness once you kind of like look back at your past and like what you did with the human body and the experience, and then you look at all of the surroundings and how you affected people, etc. Then the consciousness makes a choice to like go back up into the collective, or to go try again and try to do it better. So similar to that like game theory where you're like, oh, I want to go and see if I can beat my high score, or like do a different thing, or like, I don't know if beat my high score, maybe it all is a game, or maybe it's more of like oh no, there's something to achieve here, like we need to figure something out, so I'm going to go back in. But regardless, so then at the end of the movie, because I know you will never stay awake for this movie, but it's like 4 hours.
Maybe we'll watch it over the course of a month.
But at the end, he like goes, or the consciousness like goes back into a hospital, and you see like women giving birth, and then it's like this glow, and he goes back in, and he like that goes into the credits. Basically, he like hits the like the baby comes out, and there's credits.
Just like starts being
so
like
the
beginning, just like a full cycle.
It's like a very and it's very less words and more storytelling through like visuals, and it's really 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 crazy cool.
There should be a movie where it's like one maybe I'll write a book. maybe someone should write a book. I don't know, but like
No one should write a book.
Like, and have it be like it based on numerology, where it's like you go through 1 through 9, and it'd be like year 1, it'd be like all the teachings of 1, and then like have it be like da-da-da.
No, I don't know what that means. No,
and then
I don't know what that means.
So we like or like have all these different archetypes, and be like, or teaching like through like a hero's journey of 1 through. Ooh, that would be good. A 9-part series of numerology. If it was just like in the to teach you about the powers of each like
I don't think that,
the representation.
Okay, so
I found this on the web for add 9
Siri,
series of
stop.
neurology in the see about.
No.
I don't think that a lot of people know what numerology is, because
I think a lot of people know it.
No, a lot of people know.
I think that.
But the 14 people that listen to my podcast do not know. Hold on, I had to start this over.
And I don't really know a lot about it.
No, I don't even think they know what they.
Seen.
Cinda.
I have noticed a lot of.
I don't think they know it exists. Like, I don't think they. If you say numerology, I don't know. I don't even think they know what that is even referencing. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't think I should be this like. I'm like seriously, I'm like, okay, so this is what numerology is. I'm like, I'm not the person that can tell anyone what it is, because I have a pretty, like, I only know what I do know. But there is I don't know. There's patterns, like the as above, so below kind of.
Oh shit!
Like. Like thing. But
oh no, I gotta pee.
But.
No.
That hasn't been done, and I think a lot of people do know about numerology, and it's trending hard, and so people should write about it. I actually do like it more than astrology.
That was a good point when you said that numerology is like, what's the space stuff with the months?
So like astrology, so there's just I don't think that there is any type of like absolutes or divination or anything, but I do think there are patterns that a lot of like, and clearly there are, because this isn't something that's new or anything, and I think that people just observe and record and then take their own interpretations to different like levels.
Yeah.
But if they were just be like, oh, that's weird, and that is what it is, Yeah. And then they weren't like, oh, no, I'm only so I.
Wait, you're what?
Or like path number blah blah.
Okay, so I was originally curious about like what numerology is, but now that I know that it is exactly what all time and space is, I would like to personally talk about the Jews.
That's an awesome segue.
I know. I was trying to really really go aggressively on that one. No, I'm just kidding. I actually really wanted to. I would love. I know I did this before we took the last break, but I would love to tell you. I would love for you to tell me about glimmers before I forget, because you said it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Of,
So yeah.
Oh, trigger.
Yeah,
Right,
because
okay.
everyone's
So
like, I'm fucking triggered. I'm gonna like, that's my excuse to like a fucking freak out, or
Okay. Let's
instead of being like, oh, I'm triggered, so now you put the safety on. People are, I'm triggered, so y'all better be like, y'all better know that I'm a loaded gun. I feel like that's like a lot of the when people actually use it. But the opposite of that is a glimmer, where it's just like something very pleasant, where you're like, oh, for no reason, that's dope as shit. Like, I didn't hang the moon, but I'm like, fuck yeah, moon. I didn't make like the snow pretty, but I'm like, hell yeah, snow. I like all those little things, and you're just showing me about that, and I was like, there's so many times that we just like focus on the negative, where like, oh yeah, that's like having the worst day.
So, okay, so I'm gonna dive into this a little bit, Cinda, because I think I want to I think it's good to explain, but instead of just being like, oh, you're negative or positive, like when so Lindsay used to complain to me about when people say, that triggers me. So for example, triggering somebody used to be like a bang in a public space would trigger people with PTSD. So do you know what a guy at war would like have a bang and then be like, "Dah!" and they would drop, and then it was an automatic response that happened so viscerally that they couldn't even control it.
Yeah.
And so then that word became looser and looser, and so Lindsay would always say, she would be like, oh, well, now everyone just says, oh, every time somebody says, bitch, it triggers me, like it. So it became really comfortable where it's just like, every time a guy looks at me for longer than 2 seconds, I get triggered. So it became like more of a just like I get triggered because it like makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, right? That's like how a lot of like I shed on a lot of like the really heady terms, like just like playfully shit talking, not shit like I don't dislike it, but
yeah,
like because they are real. Like unpacking shit is a term that should be like narcissism is a thing. Like I don't know. I can't think of any more examples, but there's like a list of like heady adjectives that are used, or like this is exactly how it is. Like this is an appropriate like word or term to like describe the situation, but then the overuse and popularization of it is just like takes it to like a different like meaning, and then I'm like now it's just like a farce and just a disservice to like it's like the original.
Yes, that's fair, but so what I'm saying, like that is like the morphing of a word. But what I like about the word yes, that's that's exactly what etymology is. It's like the morphing of this word. And if you were to think about like the people who originated the word and how we use it now, they'd be like, fuck you, 2024 Americans, you've been using our word bastardized, like we meant it for this. And we're just like, yes, of course, Dutch oven. I Dutch oven my girlfriend all the time. And the fucking Dutch are like, we put so much work into designing this oven. How dare you defile our word? That's so stupid, but that's probably true. All that to be said.
I think that if the English knew that the Americans were just like they're not even spelling correctly because they can't afford the ink. They would I would have talked so if I was England, I would have talked so much shit on American and fucking press. Dude. Like the first printing press here. I'd be like, bitch, you're spelling shop SHOP, it's SHOP PPE.
Dude, you know what's crazy is like if you were in another country and you're just
Bath BATHE.
Like if you're the French and you're watching the or Italians or whatever, and you're just watching the English America split conflict, like think about Ukraine and Russia. That's how like England and America probably was to like the Italians for us. We're like, well shit, like what about this or this? And then you're just watching from afar, and then you're just like, dude, those guys just called them out for like they're so poor they can't even keep the E's on their fucking letters. They have to put all their money into those ships to stop the English from coming.
So there's like the printing presses.
Wait, is this further in the future, or
I don't know if it had anything to do with ships. It was just like the printing presses.
No, I was thinking about like when America left England and like the split,
Yeah. So yeah, there's
the
colonial
Revolutionary
times.
War. Yeah, like
Back in the colonial
yeah, the
times.
Revolutionary War. Like when we split from the country. Yeah. I just think about that. I was just thinking about that, like, because obviously as an American, I love America. I love USA. I literally just have been making these videos with American flags in it all day, actually. So much I love America. No, do you know what's funny about being in Australia? They're just like, dude, what is it with Americans and their flags?
No, it's just
Because other countries aren't really. I'm not saying all, but like Australians just don't care about a flag. Like they love Australia.
yeah.
Like they're still very nationalistic. They just don't care about like a flag, and they're like, "What's with Americans and their flags?"
It's because we're a new country. Like compared to like everybody else, I think that's really what it
Yeah.
is. And that like also as far as like a global power, we're like the strong arm, you know, we don't really have a lot of the tech. We don't or like the gold or like printing presses for money, but we do have military as fuck. And so like I feel like it's good to wear some colors, I guess.
What about this? Say you're like a porn director, and you know how like dogs piss on stuff to like mark the territory, and you know how like America like planted their flag on the moon to mark their territory. That's like pretty much the human instinct or like the animalistic instinct. Not human.
Mine.
Dogs do it. Like yeah,
I did.
mine. So what if you're just like you have like a porn where it's like an American like big burly dude with like some I don't know Russian or maybe like a Vietnamese or I would even say like Argentinian like girl, and he comes all over and then he just like puts like a little like American flag like a suction cup and just goes because there's like the cum on her butt and he goes and he puts it on there. So there's just this tiny little like American flag like it's the moon. Like you, you just saw the moon and then he just suction cups it on.
Could it be like dresses Buzz Aldrin?
Yes, you could, yes.
Or Bruce Willis in Armageddon, one of the two.
Oh, dude, we could do a whole
One of the
series
two.
on this.
Yeah.
What if we did a TV series where instead of like, you know how certain TV series,
Yes, I'm sorry about it.
you know how certain TV series they do like a new like storyline every episode, but they still all keep it the same theme.
Sorry, say that again.
You know how every TV or no, sorry. You know how there's those TV shows that the seasons like every episode is a different story,
Yeah.
but then the season still kind of all collects.
Has
So
a
for,
theme.
like,
It's like an anthology.
American Horror Story or Black Mirror maybe.
No, Black Mirror
or-
is not American. You don't watch American Horror Story.
I don't.
But
That's true.
yeah. So yeah, it's a more of a
There's
collection, a thematic collection
yeah, there's a,
versus
have you ever
like
watched- I don't really watch American Horror Story, but have you ever watched Room
a
104?
canon thing.
Room 104, I think it was on HBO. They have 2 seasons, and every episode is a different story, but it's all filmed in the same hotel room. So the title of the show is Room 104. So there's just like all these different stories happening in one hotel room in this like.
That's cool. There's this.
It's really
yeah.
cool, but it's dark and twisted and trippy. It's really good. It's really good. But anyway, so like that kind of theme. So
Ooh.
what if you did a porn theme where at the end the astronaut always put the flag on, no matter like what the cum shot. Like that would be like a porn star like mini series. If you were like already had a porn channel, you're like somewhat successful, and you're like, hey, we're good. You know how like Joe Rogan does Protect Our Parks? It's like a subgenre of the thing. So you go like into the like, so you're like, okay, we do this, then we did this like category of this in this. I think a lot of like I was talking to Carrie with the real estate. We're like, okay, so we're doing real estate videos, but we could do like we're like, oh, here's our mini series on the 10 reasons people come to Boise, or like, and well, we're talking about real estate, and they're like, okay, join our mini series on the 5 reasons, or the 5 things people say from out of town that is not like whatever. So that's what this would be.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. I feel.
Can you get him? Can you get him in the camera? Russell, get taller. Show the people what you got.
Show them what you got.
Oh, the thing that I did want to say, really quick though, is we were talking about glimmers, and I do understand, like, if you look at the positive, you get the positive. If you look at the negative, you get the negative. But I do really like the idea of, like, a trigger is more than just the person choosing to try to be optimistic or pessimistic. A trigger is something that, like, with an instance, without your conscious knowledge, subconsciously changes your entire outlook.
You have
that's what a trigger
you have a thing that can set you off.
Yes.
Like a trigger is something that causes gunfire.
Yes.
Like that's what what, you know. So you have you have a thing that is going to be like.
Yes.
Like
So back to that original terminology, or the, what do you call it, etymology of that, like, where that comes from in the psychological sense, as a trigger. So like somebody in trauma who is walking, having a good day, and hears a certain sound and drops to their belly and like covers their head. That as much as that is a trigger, a glimmer would be the opposite of that, like in a very visceral sense, where you could be having like a kind of a shitty day, or like, I'm behind, I'm this, and then there's this like something hits, like from whether it's a Starbucks lady or whatever, and it just like instantly switches you from the, like, as much as you would be from positive to negative, you'd be from negative to positive. You're just like, holy fuck. You know, like, that's what I think of as like a glimmer in like in the most positive way, where you're just in the fucking, like, the doldrums, and something clicks and it turns your day around or week around or whatever, where it's like so viscerally you're like,
there's a reason why people aren't like talking about like their moments of just like heightened exhilaration in the same way that they are talking about their moments of deep trauma, because their deep exhilaration / fulfillment, or because they're different, you know, and like that. So when you're like a triggering situation where it's going to need to be like a trauma based, it's going to be different than just like, but it. So I don't think that like when you get back down to like the root word, like if you hear like dogs and fireworks, like that's kind of like it goes back to like their like animalistic, like, a sense of safety, and that's what is happening to like someone's physical response. I think that like when they're getting like the real word is triggered, but I feel like glimmers are more like, it's like you get what you get, but if you see glimmers, then you'll get glimmer. You get you'll get that. If you see it, then you'll see it. But if you like, it's really easy to turn a blind eye. It wouldn't be like,
you might miss it.
Yeah, you might miss some glimmers.
Perspicacity.
Perspectives? Perspicacity.
Perspicacity. Is that a thing?
I think that means that like,
who just said this?
perspicacity means like a tenacious, like, go-getter attitude. Is that what it means?
Yes. Do you know why?
Is that what it means?
Do you know why I know this?
I know and the ability to a go-getter attitude with the potential, with the aptitude. Is that what that means?
Yes.
Are you gonna look it up?
Perspicacity. I am
like,
unmatched.
I remember that word is whatever.
I am unmatched in. There's another really big word that he uses. Do you know he uses that all the time?
Okay, so we were, well, a kind of shrewdness, the quality of having a ready insight into things. So, I have like,
You gotta hear this. This is why I know the word, and this is why I told you the word.
I actually do say, do I? That's like the other favorite word in Osmic. I'm like, now I feel like perspicacity, unless I saw it on my phone, I'm like, yes, I didn't make it up. It's in the dictionary. But it's called a nosmic when you say it like a word or you think a word too much and you're like, is that fucking right?
Okay, so this is the phrase. This is the quote, and I learned this. My unmatched perspicacity, coupled with sheer indefatigability, indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor.
Indefatigability.
Yeah, it's actually tricky. Okay, my unmatched perspicacity, coupled with sheer
Indefatigability.
I
know those are like I also
indefatigability
I'm like I could say it could actually what the actual definition is. Let's look it up.
makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. That's where I first learned it. Perspicacity, you were good at discerning what is really going on where others might only see surface clues. You're like perceptive. Perspicacity is your perceptiveness, I think. A shrewd mind or keen intelligence. But then, indefatigability is your ability to not fatigue.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was like, where did I hear this word? It was a Huberman like podcast about endurance and longevity.
I've told you this word before. You're gonna hate this. You're gonna hate this.
You may have as well, but I remember from Huberman. Shout out Huberman. Just kidding.
Do you wanna know who this quote's from? If you have perspicacity, you were. Oh no, wait. That's not the
Is
quote.
it Andrew Tate? Because he would with that fucking pedantic ass fucking vocabulary. He's just like, big vocabulary, little dictionary. That would be Andrew Tate.
So the story goes, his dad used to say that, and that's why Andrew Tate says that.
Just kidding. I actually don't really know a lot of his content. I don't know any of his content. I do like to talk shit that you like him though.
What, dude? He's my favorite. Dude, you know what's crazy? Is my youth pastor in high school, his name is Andrew Tate. And he's very religious. And I'm like, dude, I wonder how much he loves or hates, mostly hates, being associated with Andrew Tate. Because conservative values, but very different on the religious spectrum.
I have a coworker named Christopher Robin. I wonder if he is associated with it.
Dave, dude.
Sorry.
That's wild.
Sorry, but it's not funny. But I just started giggling because I'm high. But I'm like, I don't think that he's offended because his name's the same as.
No, I don't think he's offended. He's just.
I don't think he'd be like, fuck.
He's just dealing with a lot of fucking conversations.
You know what? There's two James Williams in the community that I like. That's the scene.
Do you know?
There's two James Williams in my life. First and last. There's another Cinda here.
Cinda.
Yeah, she owns Crazy Neighbor. Or owned it. Cinda Robbins. I met her once at a Pussycat Ball, I think 10 years ago or something.
I was telling Carrie about Crazy Neighbor. Do you remember that other little Asian girl that?
Liana? No, Liana.
You were like, I don't really like Asians, but She's
For the
kind
one
of
from New
cute.
Year's?
No, she was like, you're like, she's kind of like a chubby version of me. Do you remember her?
Oh, the one that I was like, I was like, I was like, I thought we could do a double blowjob with that one. And she was like, what did she say to me? She was like,
Yeah, you were like, you said something you're like, I'm shy around flirting with girls. And she's like, you just asked me to suck your dude's dick with you.
yeah, I was like, I don't really know how to like flirt with girls or how to like, present. She's like, did you just ask me to suck your dude's dick with you? I was
You're like, I guess I did.
yes.
Give me that lounge. No, I don't.
She didn't do that.
I think we're about to end. So I felt like at this juncture we would just trail off. So if I were to be the podcast, like if I were to be the podcaster, what I would do with this episode is I would click like a point where the last intelligible word went, and like the like how we are, like the last like good statement that we made, and then I would drag a thing, and it would be like the blurry slider, and it could be like another hour, but I'll make this like blurry slider, and then I'll drag up like the audio, and like I'll warble it, so it just starts going.
So it just starts like as like it progresses,
and like it just gets harder and harder to see and feel and watch. So like it feels like you're fading in. You know, like how
you're like, oh shit, I'm going to sleep.
you're just like, oh fuck. That would be actually really dope. And it continues to just like get warbly and like blurrier and blurrier, and the audio gets.
Yeah. What if it was like this closed eyes like this like.
Yeah.
You did like that with like you can have
like,
that effect. It's like they'll be like.
It blinks back up, and you're like,
yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Do you want to do some more candy?
Yeah. I
love you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys. Oh wait, they're all the same.
Baby.
I love podcasting. Seriously though, thank you guys for sticking with us. You can find Cinda at CindaCuteandGlasses.com. Wait, HTTP. Where do you find your MySpace again?
I think I pretty much always just have used Cinda Elizabeth. My photo bucket was Cinda Elizabeth. I've been using it. Fitch, like I'm not gonna tell my email. I already know it. But I've had the same permanent address. I've had the same cell phone number since I was in 8th fucking grade. I've had the same email address since I was 2004. I'm like, this is. I have gone through many things that I've bought too many things twice or 3 times. Keys, phones, IDs, cars.
We all like
But cars. For some reason, I've kept those things all the time.
Well, if you don't want to plug your MySpace, whatever, do you want to plug anything else? Do you want to plug your, maybe your top spinning company, you know? The one you were telling me about?
Top spinning?
Yeah, the tops that you make that you, spin for tops for toddlers, you called it?
Actually, there is someone who donated some tops to my friend's celebration of life. That I was like, I haven't seen that as a. I love pocket games because I feel like we all just chill, and so if you have some dice in your pockets or in your pocket or a quick game, I feel like that it would be that was I
House of Talent.
and yeah.
Oh man. Well, this has been Zero Dark Dirty.
Baby.
Baby.
Oh, you got it.
From here on out, what I'm going to do is just lift my podcast guests off into the distance. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You know that video where I fell into the wall?
Don't do it.
What if we recreated it? I was just like, ah.
Well, I would fall on top of you, so.
Yes,
Maybe
it would be
it's bad.
it would be cushioning. Didn't it? You're never gonna get it. You're never gonna get it. You're never gonna get it.
Slip it.
Don't. You're never gonna get it.
Nobody.